Bienvenidos! And welcome to the Ripple Effect Podcast. We are so glad that you have joined us this week, whether you are listening to this on the go or watching this online. I am so glad that you're here. We are in the studio, and I've got Mr. Brian here joining us, and we also have Miss Rachel here joining us as well. And we are so... What's the difference between Miss and Mrs.? Mrs.
What do you think the difference is?
Miss is you're married. No?
No.
What's MRS? How do you say
That's
MRS?
married.
That's married.
Yeah, no, but how do you pronounce that? MRS.
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 Yeah.
Mrs. Rachel is here with us today. I like how you threw that back on me. I don't know. That's why I'm asking the question. And we are so glad that you're here. As always, this is a podcast that gives you some behind-the-scenes look at what has happened in the church and then what will be happening soon. And also we get the chance to highlight a couple of things that are going to be important for you to know as being a part of Timberlake Christian Church. So we've got the recap of last Sunday, we've got the TLCC top 3 announcements, and the spotlight of the week. And as always, we'll end it with a blessing for you. But before we get to any of that, we have our weekly sponsor, and we've got a reoccurring sponsor this week. And some of you could probably guess what this sponsor is, but we are going to be sponsored again. It's still kind of warm.
I bet. That's been running nonstop.
This has been running nonstop in the bathroom. It's been doing good work. And the reason that we're highlighting space heaters is not just because it's super cold out, but because this past week, something stopped working at the church. Mm-hmm. What was it, Brian?
Another heating unit. Yeah.
One of our big heating units. Now, so we have others, but we're running on it's like running on a couple cylinders.
We have
not
7, and we're currently have 5 operational.
Not good. But hopefully this Friday, we've got some guys coming out that will accompany coming out to look at them. And hopefully they'll be ready for Sunday. But we are grateful for the other remaining 5.
The lobby is cold, and the front bathrooms are very cold.
It's just very cold, which is why...
You may want to use a different bathroom.
That's why the space heaters were on.
Get out of your routine for one Sunday.
Good. There are different bathrooms in this church. But that is why we're sponsored by Space Heaters. We hope that you are staying warm, and we hope that you have what you need, especially through these colder nights. We've got a couple more coming up, and then hopefully it'll start to warm back up. Mm-hmm. But there you go. That's the sponsor of the week. Let's get to a recap of Sunday. This past Sunday was very, 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 very cold, and we ended up only having one service, and we talked about that last week in the podcast. Rachel, how was your Sunday? What did you do anything different because of the freezing cold weather?
No, we had a nice slow morning because there was no Sunday school. I didn't have to be here at, before 9, and then, which to be fair, I get here pretty close to 9. So. I have 2 kids, and it's hard to get out the door. But then we usually do a high school girls Bible study, which we decided to cancel because the girls are driving themselves, and we were like, I don't really want you driving out in that weather. Just in case something were to happen. So we canceled, and which is kind of sad, but looking forward to it being warmer again because I really enjoy that time on Sunday nights.
It was strange usually on Sunday mornings, I'm out the door before they wake up, before my family wakes up. And it was strange. I woke up and my kids were like, Dad, what are you doing here? What? Was something wrong? Or I'm like, no, we don't have to be there until a little bit later. So we're all going to go together. Yeah. And I got the chance to lead music, and Macy got the chance to play bass and lead with me. And so that was fun. So we enjoyed the morning, and it was, I don't know if it helped a little bit being a little bit later, but it wasn't that much. Brian, you preached?
Yep.
How'd you feel that went?
Yeah, much better than December. No, I thought December was fine, but I was just way more prepared and less busy. Mm-hmm. Everything's better when you feel like you've given it the time it deserves. But I agree. Sunday morning, I didn't have to be up as early as normal.
No.
I came here and ran through the sermon and still had time to go home and get my family. So that was weird.
Yeah.
It was like, maybe this is what everybody else feels like on Sunday. Mm-hmm. You don't have to be so rushed and crazy.
Yeah. I'm not trying to say we need to make some drastic changes around here, but maybe every once in a while. See, I always get guilty. We talked about this last week. Look, the idea of canceling a service, or I always feel like, oh man, this is going to be terrible. Like, I don't know why, just because I guess it's ingrained in me, like you always have service. But there can be some benefits.
Mm-hmm.
There can be some benefits to it.
Or just a later service. I enjoy
1:15 in the afternoon, our service.
during my children's nap time.
Oh, that'd be perfect.
Yes.
No nursery needed. We just have a room filled with kids
Sleeping babies.
Yeah, that's
Well,
a great
except for
idea.
Cashin.
He would not do that.
He would not.
Well, if you missed anything on Sunday, you can go to tlcc.church or catch up on Facebook. We are still in our Rewind series, and Brian did a great job. He took us back all the way to, was it?
April?
March.
March.
I think it was like 2 weeks of March, 2 weeks of April.
Yeah,
or
when we did
something.
Covered in the Dust. And that was really good. But one exciting thing that maybe people who weren't here missed was we have some money news.
Yeah.
Do you want to give a little quick snippet about that?
Yeah, in case they weren't here.
Mhm.
So for one thing, our year-end budget was really good because of some. I mean, obviously we had a lot of year-end gifts, but especially 2 or 3 large ones that we don't receive every year, but they sure did help this year, and so we ended the year with a good cushion, I would say, because this coming year we're challenging the congregation with a $100,000 match that came from one of our families. It's not from our church budget. The match isn't. It's from one of our faithful donors who just decided to challenge everybody else to step up and get the debt paid off this year.
Goal is by the end of this year, this church will be debt-free. And this church has done a very good job of being a good steward of the money that God has given them and that people have donated. And there have been some lean years where people took cuts in pay and where things didn't happen the way that they normally happen. And through faithful giving and through faithful donations and through good stewardship, this church is in a position, we are in a position to pay off debt on this church building. And we'd like to do that by the end of this year. And thanks to some generous people who said, we know we're going to give this much, and also just saying, hey, as a family, we think we can do this. We think we can pay this off, and it'll free us up to not have to worry about those loan payments. It can free us up to start thinking about, okay, what can we do with this extra funds for the kingdom of God and to bless the community around us. So it's an exciting time, and we hope that you will consider how you can play a role in paying down the debt for the church. So you'll hear more about that later in the year, but that was a big announcement that came out of Sunday that I wanted to make sure you heard. Okay, let's move on from the recap to the TLCC top three things you need to know heading into this week. Brian, what do you got for us?
All right. Number 1 is for tonight, so hopefully you're watching this or listening to it sooner, but Wednesday nights are starting 6:30 p.m., and that kind of goes along with our other top 3 as well. It's all about groups this week.
Okay.
So Wednesday nights, of course, tonight, small groups are starting back up if you're involved in a small group. And some of them happen Sundays, some of them happen other nights of the week. Obviously, our Wednesday night groups are kind of a form of small group as well. But then we also have some mental health, mental wellness groups that happen, and they're kind of staggering as they start back up, depending on what those leaders wanted to do. But next Tuesday is the one we wanted to let them know about, because Grief Share is a really important ministry, an important group.
Huge, yeah.
Not only for our church attendees, but community members benefit from that as well through our counseling ministry. And that's going to be next Tuesday, January 23rd through April 16th is the next session of Grief Share. And it meets here at 6 p.m. each Tuesday.
Yeah, so if someone in your life or someone that you know has lost somebody or gone through experiencing a loss, Grief Share is a great place for them. It's a great curriculum, a great program led by some amazing people that just not only helps you mourn and grieve the loss, but also gives you tools to help you cope and help you deal with, okay, now what do I do? And also it's just a great environment to let you know that you're not alone. And we've had many people from our church go through it. We've had many people from the community go through it. So it's open not just to church members, but it's open to everybody who might need a place to go as they mourn and as they grieve the loss of someone close to them.
So all of the information about our groups is available on the website, tlcc.church. You can click on groups, or if you have the Church Center app, you can click on groups there as well, and it'll list the mental wellness groups, the small groups that are open. Several of the small groups are full, so you won't see them listed, but if it has spots that are open, it's listed there, and then Wednesday night classes. So for tonight, let's just talk about the details in case they are listening to this today. We have your group
Bible study, which is open to everybody, starts up in classroom 40546.
We have student ministry programming every Wednesday.
Every Wednesday, yep. And then we alternate between being combined middle school, high school, and then every other they get to be by themselves, and then we also do a combined gym night. So, but tonight is just combined in the student classrooms.
So for children, younger children, we have full slate from nursery up through elementary ages. So that includes the preschool choir, which is all of this starts at 6:30. And then other opportunities for adults besides the Bible study, general Bible study, are women's groups. There's a mom's group as well as a general women's group. There is also a men's group that meets in the coffee bar. The lobby is currently not heated, so we're going to close that door. We're going to try to get it warmed up in there a little bit so we don't freeze to death tonight with the door opening.
You guys are going to be cold.
But we can tough it out, and we're going through the book of Daniel. Picking up where you don't have to have attended anything before. You're welcome to join us tonight, but we're just kind of general Bible study, stepping our way through Daniel as long as it takes us. So we're about halfway through right now, I think.
That's great.
So, those are our top three.
There you go. TLCC top 3 of the week. You got Wednesday nights starting up this week. Small groups will be starting back up. You can check those out on the TLCC Church Center app. Or you can call the office if that's not your jam and you say, hey, I need to find a place to go or study to join. And then we have those care groups that are going to be starting up, particularly Grief Share, which is happening on Tuesday night at 6 o'clock. Okay, let's get to the spotlight of the week. And I was really, really excited about the blanket that Rachel was wearing, and she chose not to wear it. Can you just describe it for us?
It is a very fluffy blanket that I've had since college, and it just has cats all over it.
And brightly colored cats,
brightly colored cats
purple,
with scarves,
orange,
and it's.
I love it.
You look at it and you go, "Wow, I totally understand you as a person."
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, it's so me. Yeah.
Well, I was hopeful that you would wear that, but it's okay. It's warmer back here than it was over there. Rachel is here, not just for this alone, because we enjoy having you here, but also specifically to talk a little bit about what's happening this Sunday. Every year we have, it hasn't been every year, but lately we've been trying to do more highlighting of our student ministry and our amazing students. And so we've done in the past Student Sundays where the whole service is led by students, and we have one coming up for this Sunday. So just tell us, my first question is what's going to happen, and then my next question is why are we doing this?
Yeah, so it's going to be basically like a normal Sunday, except that you're not going to see maybe faces that you recognize because it's going to be led by middle school and high schoolers. So we have a student worship band that Caleb and Crystal Slavinsky basically run, and they're wonderful. And so they've been putting in a ton of work coming up with a set list, and we have students who are going to be bringing the message that are going to be giving your communion thought, serving you communion. So communion is going to look a little different. We try to do something a little different.
So students are going to pass communion?
No, students are going to be handing out communion. Last time we did it, I had the brilliant idea, let's try to make our own communion bread. And I was like, we're never doing that. I thought it was going to be a lot easier than it was. Which was
a little Parmesan over here, a little garlic over here.
Extremely silly of me to think that it was going to be easy. So this time around, They're still going to be passing out elements of communion, but it's not going to be homemade. So
And people are still going to get up and
yes,
go
still get
them.
up and,
Okay.
and go to get the communion. And there will still be like gluten-free options, obviously. But so like all of those things will be covered. The greeters will be covered. Students will be helping in the coffee bar, not
Doing it all.
doing it all by themselves. So your coffee will hopefully still taste good. But just helping and being there and trying to, and even Brian helps, like in the sound booth, letting the students run slides and helping switch cameras and all that. So like just giving students a chance to have some part in what happens on a Sunday morning instead of just coming and being the ones receiving, you know?
Now you're getting into the second question, which maybe you want to keep going with that thought. Like, why even do this? Because some people are like, this isn't the type of service I want to be part of, or maybe people get really excited about it, or they're just like, oh, this is kind of different. Why would we even do this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, first off, I would say different isn't always bad or wrong, and having something changed up maybe helps bring you out of your comfort zone a little bit, and you just get to try something new. Part of why I think it is so important is because students are not like the church of tomorrow, and we've talked about this before. Students are part of the church today now. They are members, they are participants, and so giving them just this little small part to play gives them ownership, and it teaches them, I think, how to serve with a humble heart, to serve joyfully. It helps them develop things that they're passionate about. So like some of the coolest things have been students asking ahead of time, months before, saying, when's the next Student Sunday? I want to be a part of it, and this is what I want to do, and I've already planned it out, and like they're ready for it, and so like they are super excited to do it.
Yeah.
And then as a congregation, you get the chance to say to them afterwards, thank you so much for what you did, and like I loved what you said, and so just you get the chance to encourage a generation that you maybe don't interact with that often, and I just love everything about getting the students up on stage, and having them be recognized.
Is that what you would, if you could kind of, what would you say to people who are going to be attending this service? Yes, you can enjoy it, but how can they best encourage the students as they see them encourage those that are participating in this service? Is it just, saying a kind word? What would you say to, like, how can they be prepared to bless the students that are going to be blessing them?
Well, if you're watching this, you have until Sunday. You can be praying over it. Pray for the service. Pray that God would use the words that these teenagers speak to encourage somebody, to challenge somebody, to create change in the heart of somebody, and maybe that person is you. So pray for them. Pray that they would serve joyfully, that God would speak to them, that maybe they would consider doing this like full time. Like maybe they just do this and they realize, wow, I really love this and I want to serve God's church forever. And you can do that. And then also, I think encouraging them with words and just your actions. And it doesn't have to just be Student Sunday. It could be every week.
Yeah, I think some of the most impactful moments for me were when an adult came up to me and said, hey, I see this in you, and you did a really great job. I was joking with, I can't remember who, I used to be a horrible singer. And I'm not saying that like, I don't think I'm the greatest singer today, but I can carry a tune now. But like, it was bad. And I'm not just saying like, that to be silly. My mother will tell you I was a horrible singer.
Wow.
But any chance that I had when I would sing, for some reason, people would still be, good job, Danny, good, good job, you did a great, like, just the encouragement, helped me to keep going and keep developing skills and keep trying. And I think it can make a huge impact on, I know in my life it made a big impact, adults noticing, hey, you did something. You did your best. You tried, and I'm so glad that you did, and keep going. So I think it can be a huge thing.
I used to be in a teen choir, and I also was not very good singer. But after I practiced for months, there was an older woman in the congregation who came in and helped, and I was an alto, and she said, wow, you're a really good alto. And I didn't know what that meant. And I was like,
Ooh, I'm a good alto.
whatever it is, I'm good at it. Which I'm not anymore. This is many years ago. But just to hear somebody that, like, I have respected this woman for a long time.
Yeah.
She's an incredibly gifted singer, and she's here telling me that she thinks that I am good and have potential, and that was good. And I mean, like, other ministries too, but like, just like those are the things that stand out when you see somebody that you respect and then they make a comment to you.
Oh yeah.
And that sticks with you forever. So your words carry power, your prayers carry power. So yeah, be praying for the kids and encourage them.
Did you have anybody tell you did good at something, you're like, I'm really gonna go after that now?
Well, I was going to verify what she said, because I think one of the big purposes of encouraging student Sundays, or even just the routine incorporating of talented students, which we do, not all of them, but some of them, sometimes it's verification of their calling. Like, if they don't have an opportunity, I preached my first sermon when I was 12. Okay, that's Preston's age, right? And
didn't you say you still have that sermon?
I still have it.
We need to bring that
It was
back.
on a floppy
Talk
disk.
about a rewind. We need to bring the rewind.
I was going through old floppy disks.
Floppy disk?
When we had that old
I just had a
computer.
conversation this morning about floppy disks.
Yeah.
And do kids even
So
know
I
what floppy disks
obviously converted it and emailed it to myself, so it's not on just a floppy disk
Yes.
anymore. But I mean, it was the most simple. I mean,
There's going to become a day where I'm going to be like, I don't have anything to say. Brian, I need the floppy disk. And we'll break the glass and pull the floppy disk out. And I'm going to
well, it was a Thanksgiving sermon, and the 2 points for thanks and giving. So.
What else do you need? That's perfect. I love it.
But I'll say this is a deacon in our church named Bud came up after the sermon. I
Bud.
still remember. He's like, you said more in like 12 minutes or however long it was than some preachers say in an hour.
Wow.
It was so good.
Wow.
Okay, I still remember that. And again, I didn't just launch into preaching. I've preached randomly throughout my ministry experiences. I did preach in some little country churches, but you still doubt yourself sometimes, and you think about people like that who verified, yes, I see this is your calling. This is something God wants you to do. Same thing has happened with worship leading. I remember people specifically saying things when I had different paths I could take. One time I was considering, whether to do like high school choir teacher or band director, some of those directions I could have gone even with music. And one of what I consider a mentor, one Sunday in Kirksville was like, every time you lead, he said, different Sundays, this was a little country church, he was on the band sometimes, there's different, what we would consider to be different levels of excellence or quality from week to week for sure. He's like, every time you lead, no matter who you have to work with, there's just a sense that the Spirit is present through these songs and that God is worshipped. And you just bring I don't remember the exact word he used, but like the stage presence, like it's not about me and it's all about what we're doing in the worship gathering. And so throughout the years, I'm like, I never want to lose that. Yes, styles change and we do all kinds of different things. I'm a way different leader than I was back then. But I don't want to lose those attributes, which were sort of like the verifications of my calling. Well, in the students, as we give them opportunity and then respond to that, some of them, we see that. We see they have this level of giftedness that we don't know how, but they can use this for the kingdom, and that's our job.
And I know there are students that, for this particular student Sunday, like I have said to these students, I think you would be great at this. And maybe I'm wrong, but maybe you don't feel the same way, but like I have seen these things in you and I would love it if you tried it.
Yeah.
And just giving them the chance to try it.
So I get to work in the booth, and the last time, was it last fall or summer? I don't remember how long it's been.
I think it was April.
Oh, so closer
Springtime.
to a year.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was in the booth, and there's 3 people in the booth that's never served on a Sunday morning. They've done things with the student ministry, or they might have come up there and helped with something when their parent was up there or whatever. But and then the camera person had never run camera here, as far as I know, either that day. And it was so cool because I'm just like, I call myself the producer for that Sunday. I'm just there, if something looks like it's going wrong, I lean over their shoulder and say, hey, this is a way you could improve the mix or the angle, camera angle or whatever. But they talk about, at some point in your ministry, you do become like the supervisor, the mentor, pass the baton, and maybe they're not quite ready for that yet. But it's cool to see that. Like, these are totally capable students who a few years down the road could be doing our job. No doubt about it, if that's their calling.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons why we want to continue to integrate these types of things into the church, is because it's not just about preparing them for the future, although there's that element as well. It's saying, no, you're a part of our church today, and we can learn from you, and we also can encourage you as well through this. So that's coming up, and we're really excited about that this Sunday. So be praying, like Rachel said, be praying over the day, be praying over the students, and also be ready to encourage them. Even those that are serving, even those that are doing the jobs that might go unnoticed, be ready to have a word of encouragement. And that's the blessing of the week for you comes from Proverbs chapter 18. There's a couple parts in this chapter that talk about the power that we have in our words. It says, the words of a man's mouth are deep waters. The fountain of wisdom is a bubbling brook. If you keep going a little bit further, it talks about how a fool's mouth is like the snare. A fool's mouth is his own ruin. His lips are like the snare of his soul. But the words of a whisper are like dainty morsels, just a little tasty. They go down into the innermost parts of the body. And kind of what we have said already is like those little meaningful words that were spoken to us even so long ago found their way down to who we are at our core and continue to push us on. And so the encouragement for us is to remember what verse 21 says. It says, death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruit. We have the ability to bring life to people's lives through the wisdom and the gifting of the Holy Spirit. When He gives us the words to speak, we have the ability to encourage someone and bring life to their life. Life to their life? Light to their life? Both of those things.
We're talking about light on Sundays.
We are talking about light, yes.
I think that is what the topic is.
But that can come first and foremost through the way that we speak to one another. So be mindful of the words that you use and be encouraging to those around you, and watch as God uses those words to bring life to people. That's it for this week. Thank you for joining us on the Ripple Effect Podcast. We hope you have a great rest of the week. And for those of you who are going to be joining us here tonight, we can't wait to see you as the Wednesday nights kick off again. And if we don't see you tonight, we hope to see you this weekend. All right, everybody. We'll talk to you later. Bye.